I'm a 31-year-old male, and I never thought I'd be sitting here staring at my own house, wondering how the hell my own sister almost stole it out from under me. But here we are. I guess I should start with the house, the one I literally built with my own 2 hands, every single nail, every board, every little detail. I've been in construction since I was basically a kid. I started at 19 as the guy who swept up sawdust and carried stuff around. You know, the guy all the real workers yell at to bring them tools. That was me. But I busted my ass, learned everything I could, and worked my way up from being the site cleanup guy to running my own crew. Now I own my own construction company. I'm not trying to flex or anything, I'm just giving you the background here. About 2 years ago, I found this perfect piece of land. When I say perfect, I mean perfect. 5 acres of absolute mess. Like, imagine if Mother Nature had a garage sale and just dumped everything in one spot. Everyone said I was crazy to buy it. My realtor actually tried to talk me out of it. Looking back, I should have kept that energy when other stuff went down, but we'll get to that. But man, the view. I wish you guys could see it. Our neighbor, Mrs. May, this sweet 70-something lady who's basically become my unofficial grandma, was the only one who got it. She'd bring me these amazing dumplings every weekend while I was clearing the land. "You have vision," she'd say in her broken English, nodding at the mountains. "Others see mess. You see home." I spent every single weekend for months just clearing that land. We're talking sunrise to sunset, covered in dirt, scratches everywhere, probably lost 10 pounds just from sweating. My crew helped out during their off hours. I paid them well. Obviously, I'm not that kind of boss. But mostly it was just me, my tools, and Mrs. May's dumplings. I started building the actual house about 6 months in. I drew up the plans with my then-wife, Kate, a 29-year-old female architect. That's how we met, actually. It's kind of a funny story. Well, it used to be funny, now it just makes me want to punch a wall. Anyway. She designed the house to be exactly what we both wanted. A custom build with a massive kitchen island she had always dreamed of, and a workshop built just for me to tackle projects. Mrs. May would sit in her garden next door, watching the house go up bit by bit. She'd wave every morning when I got there and every evening when I left. Sometimes she'd bring out her little folding chair and just watch me work, commenting in this mix of English and Mandarin that I started picking up over time. "Strong foundation," she'd say. The house took 2 years to complete. Every spare moment, every extra dollar, everything went into it. I'm talking custom everything, the kind of details you can only get when you're building it yourself and don't have to worry about contractor shortcuts. I still remember how proud I was when we finally finished it. At that point, everything was perfect. The house was done, Kate and I were happy, and my sister, Liza, 32, was just my slightly annoying sister who lived in the city and occasionally borrowed money she never paid back. God, I was so naive. Everything changed when my dad died. It was a regular Tuesday, nothing special about it. He was supposed to come check out the house that weekend. He had been bugging me about seeing the finished workshop. Instead, I got a call from my mom at 2 a.m. Heart attack, just like that, gone. You know that feeling when something so huge happens that your brain just refuses to process it? Yeah, that. I remember standing in my fancy new kitchen, still on the phone with Mom, staring at this stupid coffee mug Dad had given me as a housewarming gift. The funeral was, well, a funeral. Mom was barely holding it together. Liza was a complete mess. Here's where things started getting weird. Mom started dating again, like crazy fast. I'm talking barely 2 months after Dad. This guy Steve shows up at our family house one day, and suddenly he's just there all the time, moving his stuff in, rearranging Dad's garage, acting like he owned the place. Mom said she needed company, and we should be understanding, whatever. But Liza, oh man, Liza took it hard. She started showing up at family dinners absolutely plastered. Her fiancé, Mark, actually a decent guy, dodged a bullet to be honest, finally had enough when she threw a wine glass at him during some argument about wedding centerpieces. He left her for his yoga instructor, or Pilates teacher, or whatever. Honestly, good for him. So, there's Liza, fresh off losing Dad and getting dumped, crying on our front porch at midnight. Kate was all, "We have to help her, she's family, and it's just temporary." Mrs. May actually pulled me aside when she saw Liza moving boxes in. "Bad energy," she said, shaking her head. "That one brings storm clouds." At first it seemed fine. Kate and Liza got super close, like weirdly close. They'd do these movie nights, go shopping together, all that Hallmark movie sister-in-law stuff. Liza would cook these elaborate dinners with my groceries, by the way, and tell Kate all these stories about our childhood, mostly made-up stories, but I didn't know that then. Meanwhile, I was working my ass off, trying to land this huge contract that would really put my company on the map, coming home late most nights, leaving early in the morning. Kate started making these little comments about how I was never around, and Liza says, "You were always like this, and maybe you're too focused on work." Then I started noticing weird charges on our shared credit card, spa days, fancy restaurants, shopping sprees, all while Liza was supposedly looking for a job. Kate defended every single charge. She's going through a rough time, and it's not that much money, and don't be so controlling. Then the parties started. At first, it was just a couple of Liza's friends stopping by, then a few more, then full-blown ragers that left my house looking like a crime scene. I'd come home to cigarette burns on my deck, empty beer bottles scattered in my workshop, and random people passed out on my couch. And every single time, Kate brushed it off. She just needs to let loose for a bit. It's harmless. But it wasn't harmless. The parties weren't just parties, they were part of her plan. The more people she brought in, the more it started to feel like I was the guest in my own home. She started making offhand comments, joking about how this house is too big for just 2 people, or maybe we should all go in on groceries since I basically live here now. At first, I thought it was just her usual entitlement, but then I realized Liza wasn't just crashing at my place, she was establishing herself. She was making it harder for me to kick her out. When I brought it up to Kate, I got the usual excuses. She's just getting back on her feet, she doesn't have anywhere else to go. But Liza wasn't looking for stability, she was laying the groundwork for something bigger, and I was the only one who saw it. Then it got so bad. One day I was at a job site 3 hours away, supervising this huge commercial build. I got a notification from my security camera at like 2 a.m. I click on it, and I kid you not, there's a guy doing backflips into my koi pond. The one I spent 3 weekends building because Kate wanted a tranquil water feature. I called Kate right away, she doesn't pick up. Called Liza, straight to voicemail. Finally got through to Kate at 2:30 a.m. "Oh, it's just a small get-together," she says. Well, I can literally hear what sounds like the entire cast of Jersey Shore in the background. "You're being controlling again," she says. "Liza says you always try to control everything. Fun fact, those koi fish cost $300 each. Backflip guy killed 3 of them. Kate told me I was materialistic for being upset about it, the fish that she wanted, that I spent my money on, make it make sense. But the parties were just the beginning." Liza started this weird campaign of little comments and innocent observations. She'd wait until Kate was in earshot, and then say stuff like, "Remember when you pushed Tommy Stevens off his bike in 3rd grade? You've always had such a temper." "I didn't push Tommy Stevens, he hit a rock and fell. I was just standing there." Or, "It's so brave of Kate to let you handle the finances after what happened with Dad's business." "Nothing happened with Dad's business, it was successful until the day he died." Or, "Oh, you're working late again?" Some things never change. I was working late to pay for the damage her friends kept doing to my house, and Kate ate it all up, every single word. She started giving me these concerned looks when I'd get frustrated about finding empty bottles in my workshop or cigarette burns on my custom cabinets. She started suggesting I talk to someone about my anger issues. Yeah, because apparently not wanting drunk strangers destroying your house is an anger issue now. One night, after coming home to another mess, I finally asked Liza, "So, how long are you planning on staying?" She barely looked up from her phone. "I don't know. Kate said I could stay as long as I need." Kate, who had just walked in, sighed. "She's still figuring things out. Maybe just give her some space." Liza let out a dramatic sigh and stood up. "If my presence bothers you that much, maybe I should just leave." Kate immediately softened. "Liza, you don't have to go anywhere." Then she turned to me. "If it's that much of a problem, maybe you should stay at one of your friends' places for a few days, just to clear your head." I blinked. "My friends' places? In the house I built?" Kate frowned. "I'm just saying, maybe a little space would help everyone cool off." I looked at Kate, waiting for her to realize what she had just suggested, waiting for some flicker of self-awareness to cross her face. Nothing. For a split second, the anger burned white hot. Not just at Liza, but at Kate for how easily she defended her, for how casually she dismissed my frustration, for making me the outsider in my own damn home. Liza was watching me carefully. She wanted a reaction, wanted me to lash out so she could play the victim again and give a reason for Kate to see me as a monster. I clenched my jaw, forcing my shoulders to relax, not giving her that satisfaction, and walked away. The worst part was how Liza would act all innocent whenever I confronted her. "Oh, I didn't mean it like that, or I'm just worried about you, or my personal favorite Kate, he's scaring me," complete with fake tears and trembling lip. She started rearranging things in the house, moving furniture, changing decorations, organizing my workshop. When I'd get mad, Kate would say I was overreacting and being territorial. Then Liza started inviting guys over like different guy every week kind of thing. They'd show up late at night, looking like extras from a bad reality show. One of them actually tried to give me advice about my own house. You know, this wall would look better in chartreuse. First of all, who the hell says chartreuse? Second, who the hell asked you? Mrs. May started keeping a notebook of all the cars that would show up at our house. Make, model, license plate, everything. Evidence, she'd say, tapping her temple. Always keep evidence. Things started getting worse. Liza decided to replace all our family photos with old pictures of just her and me from childhood. When I got upset about finding my wedding photos packed away in a box in the garage, she got all teary-eyed. See how he gets, Kate? Just like when we were kids. Remember what Dad used to say about his temper? Dad never said anything about my temper because I never had one until Liza started playing these games. One time, I came home to find Liza had reorganized my entire workshop. Every tool out of place, my project materials mixed up, my detailed organization system completely destroyed. When I understandably lost it, she started crying about how she was just trying to help and didn't know it would upset me so much. Kate actually made me apologize to her. Then things really started falling apart. Kate stopped cleaning, stopped cooking, stopped doing anything around the house really. I need to live a little, she'd say, heading out with Liza and these groups of guys they'd met somewhere. She'd come home late, sometimes not until morning. When I'd try to talk to her about it, she'd just wave me off. I'm tired of being the perfect little housewife while you're at work all day. Liza helped me see I deserve to have fun too. Mrs. May, my MVP elderly neighbor, actually caught Liza messing with our schedule board one time. She saw her through the kitchen window, erasing and rewriting stuff. When Mrs. May told me, I tried to tell Kate, but guess what? Mrs. May must be confused, or she probably just saw Liza updating the board. Or my favorite, why are you trying to turn everyone against my friend? Yeah, my friend. Because that's what Liza had become. My wife's new BFF. They had inside jokes now, shared looks. Kate started dressing differently, wearing these revealing outfits Liza had picked out, started using these weird phrases Liza used. It was like watching someone slowly get brainwashed in real time. I sat Kate down one night and laid it all out. The changes, the weird manipulation, how Liza was twisting things. I told her I felt like I was losing my wife to some twisted version of my sister. She just sighed, looked at me like I was being dramatic, and said I was overthinking it, that Liza had been a positive influence on her, that she was helping her break free. I told her it didn't feel like that. It felt like Liza was replacing me. Kate laughed, actually laughed. God, you sound so paranoid, she said, shaking her head. I'm finally living my life instead of being your little housemaid. Liza helped me see what I was missing, and that was the moment I knew I wasn't just losing my house, I was losing my wife too. So, there I was, already dealing with this circus of manipulation, when Liza dropped the mother of all bombs. It was during one of her fancy dinner parties. You know, the one she kept throwing with my money in my house. Picture this, I'm exhausted from a 12-hour day at a construction site. There were like 15 people I've never met sitting around my dining table, eating food bought with my credit card, and Liza's standing there with this look on her face that I'd learned to dread. She taps her glass with a fork. I cringed and announces she's pregnant. Cue the gasps, the squeals, the congratulations. Kate literally starts crying with joy. Everyone's hugging and planning baby showers and talking about nursery colors, and I'm just standing there, still in my work boots, thinking, wait a minute. My brain stuck on two things, who's the dad and how did this even happen? See, this was where Mrs. May's notebook came in handy. Remember how she'd been keeping track of all Liza's visitors? Well, the timeline didn't add up, like, at all. Plus, I'd literally seen her doing shots at one of her parties, like 4 days before. She immediately starts talking about converting my workshop into a nursery, not the guest room, not any of the other 3 spare rooms in this huge house I built. Nope, had to be my workshop. And Kate, oh man, Kate was all for it. It's perfect, she kept saying. The natural light, the space. We can start clearing it out this weekend. We can start clearing it out? My workshop that I built with my own hands for my own projects in my own house? Liza really played it up too. She started wearing these flowy tops, walking around with her hand on her stomach, talking about morning sickness, which somehow only happened when I was around. She even bought one of those pregnancy apps, and would announce every week what size fruit or vegetable the baby was. It's a lime this week, she'd announce at breakfast while eating sushi she thought I didn't see her order on Uber Eats. The real red flag, she refused to say who the father was, called it her personal journey, and said she didn't want to involve him until she was ready. Kate defended this too. It's her choice, she'd say. Stop being so judgmental. Then the demand started. My workshop had to be cleared out immediately because paint fumes are bad for the baby. Never mind that the workshop has its own ventilation system I specifically installed. She needed the master bedroom because the morning sickness meant she had to be close to the ensuite bathroom. Kate and I could move to the guest room because family has to stick together. Mrs. May watched all this going down and just kept shaking her head. One morning, she caught me in the driveway and handed me a security camera she'd set up facing our house. "Watch the bathroom window at night," she said. "Snake forgets to fake sick when she thinks no one is watching." Sure enough, this severely morning sick pregnant woman was hosting full-on dance parties in her bathroom at 2 a.m., but when I tried to show Kate the footage, she accused me of stalking and invading Liza's privacy. One time, I caught her drinking wine when Kate wasn't around. Her response? "One glass is fine during pregnancy. Don't be so controlling. This is why I can't tell you who the father is, you're too judgmental." Then she started complaining about how my negative energy was affecting the baby, how my angry aura was making her blood pressure rise. She even started pretending to get dizzy or faint whenever I confronted her about anything. Hearing these made my blood boil. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Cut the act. You're not fainting, and you sure as hell aren't going to guilt-trip me into backing off. Who's the father?" She sighed like I was exhausting her. "See, this is exactly why I don't tell you things. You're always so aggressive." I laughed. "You mean I ask basic questions and expect real answers?" She ignored me, of course, probably hoping I'd drop it. I didn't. "You're living in my house, eating my food, making my wife bend over backward for you, and you still can't be honest." Then, without missing a beat, she pulled out her phone and hit record. "Wow, just wow," she said, her voice all fake shock, eyes darting toward the screen like she was building her case. "Is this how you always talk to pregnant women? No wonder I feel so unsafe here." I froze for a second, then scoffed. "Are you serious? You're recording me now?" She smirked, like she just won a round in some twisted game only she was playing. "Got to protect myself. Never know when I'll need proof of how aggressive you are." And just like that, I realized this wasn't just about dodging my questions. She was setting something up. But I couldn't just kick her out like that. Then came the nursery planning. Kate and Liza spent hours looking at paint samples and baby furniture catalogs, using my credit card to order custom baby furniture for a baby that anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together could see didn't exist. But the real hit-the-fan moment came when they started talking about long-term arrangements. Apparently, since I was never home anyway, working to pay for all this, it made more sense for Liza to take over the master suite permanently. Kate could stay in her new bestie wing of the house, and I could have the guest room over the garage. I was already seeing red when I went to grab something from the entryway and noticed a package sitting on the counter. An Amazon delivery, nothing unusual, except it had Liza's name on it. And for some reason, I just knew it was something bad. I opened it and my stomach dropped, a fake pregnancy belly. My heart stopped. Everything clicked. The lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting. It had all been leading to this. My hands were shaking as I took pictures, my mind racing through every moment I had doubted myself, every time Kate had defended her, every time Liza had played the victim. Fury, betrayal, disbelief, it all hit me at once. I couldn't stay in that house another second. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to Mrs. May, needing someone, anyone, to confirm that I wasn't losing my mind. While I was sitting in Mrs. May's kitchen, gripping my cup of tea so tightly I thought it might shatter, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Notifications popping up like my entire life was collapsing in real time. Missed calls, texts, voicemails, all from Kate. My stomach was already in knots from everything I had uncovered, but something about the sheer volume of messages made me uneasy. Mrs. May didn't say anything, just sipped her tea, watching me with that calm, all-knowing look she always had. Finally she spoke. "Truth, like sunrise," she murmured. "Cannot stay hidden forever." I exhaled sharply and picked up the phone. The second Kate's voice came through, I knew something was seriously wrong. "You need to come home right now," she said. There was panic in her tone, something unsteady. My gut twisted. I didn't ask questions, I just grabbed my keys and left. When I walked through the front door, I knew immediately that something had changed. Kate was standing in the kitchen, surrounded by a mess of papers, her face pale, her hand shaking. There was no hesitation, no preamble, she just shoved a stack of printouts toward me. "I found this," she whispered. Liza left her laptop open. I looked down at the top page, and my blood went cold. Operation House. It wasn't even subtle. A whole folder on her laptop dedicated to scamming me out of my own home. Emails to legal aid services asking about tenant rights and eviction laws. A detailed timeline on how to claim established residency under state law. A spreadsheet, and an actual goddamn spreadsheet, of steps she planned to take to ensure she could never be removed from my house. It was all planned, every single manipulation, every little lie. The laptop screen was open to a document labeled Establishing Residency, Legal Protections, with a list of tenant rights in our state. Notes about how, after a certain period, I couldn't legally evict her without a drawn-out process. A breakdown of how Kate's consent to her staying could be used as evidence in court. And the worst part, a draft email to a lawyer asking whether she had a case to claim the house as a domestic partner asset. I flipped through more of the files, my pulse pounding. There was even a timeline, a step-by-step breakdown of how she could gradually push me out. Step 1, get Kate fully on her side. Step 2, convince Kate that my presence was toxic for the baby. Step 3, get me to move into the guest house. Step 4, claim I was barely there and had abandoned the home. Step 5, secure long-term residency status. Step 6, make a legal case that I had left and that the house now belonged to Kate and her. I felt sick. This wasn't just manipulation, this was a hostile takeover, and I had almost let it happen. Then the front door swung open. Liza walked in like she didn't have a care in the world, tossing her bag onto the couch. "Ugh, doctor's appointments take forever," she groaned, stretching her arms. "You'd think they'd be quicker when you're—" She stopped mid-sentence. Her eyes flicked between me, Kate, and the mountain of evidence spread across the counter. For a split second I saw it, the moment she realized she was caught. But Liza was nothing if not quick on her feet. Her expression shifted instantly, morphing into wide-eyed confusion. "What's with the faces?" she asked, forcing a laugh. "Someone died?" I pushed the papers toward her. "You tell me." Her eyes barely flickered over them before she scoffed. "What is this? Some kind of intervention? Because if this is about me staying here, I already told you." "Cut the act, Liza," I snapped. "We know everything." She blinked. "No, what exactly?" Kate, still shaking, grabbed one of the printouts and shoved it at her. "This, Liza. The fake pregnancy, the scam, the fact that you were trying to legally block my husband from his own home. We know everything." She seemed anxious, but she kept up the performance. "Oh my God, are you serious?" She laughed, but it was hollow, forced. "This is insane. Where did you even get this?" "I told you," Kate said, her voice rising. "You left your laptop open. I saw everything." For the first time, Liza faltered. She looked down at the papers again, her breathing unsteady, and then, like clockwork, the tears started. "You don't understand," she whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was desperate. I clenched my jaw. "Desperate?" She nodded frantically, her lip trembling. "I had nowhere to go. You don't know what it's like, being abandoned, feeling like no one cares about you. You always had everything, and I had nothing." She turned to Kate, her voice cracking. "You get it, don't you? You understand why I had to do this?" Kate didn't say a word. Liza let out a shaky breath. I just wanted a home. I just wanted to feel safe. And maybe I made some bad choices, but I had to. Don't you see?" She sniffled, wiping at non-existent tears. I stared at her, disgust curling in my stomach. "You never meant to hurt me." I gestured around. "You tried to steal my life. You manipulated my wife. You made me out to be some abusive psycho. You let me think I was crazy for months. You were trying to force me out of my own home. You planned this, Liza, step by step." Liza shook her head, eyes darting between me and Kate. "You're twisting everything," she said weakly. You just got caught," I cut in, "and now you're scrambling." Her lips parted, but before she could speak, my phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer that I had hired a while back for something completely unrelated. It read, "It seems that your sister just filed for an emergency protective order against both of you. Claims you're harassing her and she's afraid for her baby's safety." I slowly looked up. Liza was smirking, and in that moment I realized she had never planned to win, she just needed to make me lose. But she thought she had played the ultimate move by filing for a protective order, painting herself as the terrified victim of her aggressive brother and his unstable wife. It was a last-ditch effort, one final attempt to flip the script before I could expose her. But she underestimated just how prepared I was to end this. I didn't waste time panicking. I called my lawyer. She said, "Don't worry, we're about to turn this whole thing on its head." And we did. My lawyer, I'll call her M. Savage because she earned that title, compiled what she called a reality check package. Every lie, every scam, every fake pregnancy test, every dollar she had stolen. It was all there. The Amazon receipts for her pregnancy props, the security footage of her drinking at parties when she was supposedly on bed rest, Mrs. May's notebook detailing every random guy showing up at my house at odd hours, and the grand finale, Kate's recording of Liza admitting the entire scam, laughing about how she'd milk sympathy for a fake miscarriage and claim residency. By the time we got to the courtroom for the protective order hearing, I wasn't just defending myself. I was making sure Liza was done. She showed up in full pitiful victim mode, fake belly strapped on, tissues in hand, looking fragile and helpless. Her lawyer, who looked way too smug for someone about to get obliterated, started rambling about how Liza feared for her safety, how Kate and I had emotionally terrorized her, how she was under severe stress due to our violent and aggressive behavior. The judge looked mildly sympathetic at first, and then Miss Savage stood up. The first blow, the pregnancy was fake. The second, video footage of her partying, drinking, laughing when she was supposed to be suffering from morning sickness. The third, emails ordering the fake belly, fake pregnancy tests, and even instructions on how to sell the illusion of being pregnant. And then came Kate's recording. The moment that played, Liza's whole act collapsed. Her face drained of color as the courtroom heard her own voice bragging about how she was going to scam me out of my house, milk sympathy for a fake miscarriage, and use tenant rights to stay permanently. The judge's whole demeanor shifted. He dismissed her protective order immediately and called the DA's office right from the bench. Turns out, tenant fraud and falsified claims make people in law enforcement very interested. Liza tried to run, actually tried to waddle run out of the courtroom in her fake pregnancy belly. The bailiff caught her before she made it to the door, and in a moment straight out of a goddamn movie, her fake belly popped right off in the struggle, flopping onto the floor like a deflated alien egg. That was it. Game over. The DA pressed charges, multiple counts of fraud, attempting to file false police reports, and tenant rights abuse. She was taken out of the courtroom in cuffs, screaming about how she was being set up, while the evidence of her own stupidity was still playing on the courtroom speakers. I wish I could say that was the end, but I had one more thing to do. When I got home, I didn't say a word to Kate. I didn't need to. She was already sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the floor, the weight of everything finally settling in. For the first time in months, she looked like she understood exactly what she had done. She looked up as I walked in. "We can fix this," she said. I let out a bitter laugh, shaking my head. "Fix this, Kate? This isn't a broken faucet. This is our entire marriage." She stood up quickly, desperation creeping into her voice. "But we have proof now. We can show everyone what she did." "You think this is about Liza?" I snapped, finally letting the anger surface. "Liza is a parasite, a scammer. That's just who she is. But you were my wife. You were supposed to have my back." She swallowed hard. "I thought I was doing the right thing." "The right thing?" I gestured around the house. "You let her take over my home. You let her turn you against me. You let me think I was the problem while she was planning to steal everything. And even when the red flags were slapping you in the face, you still defended her." She stepped closer, reaching for my hand, but I pulled away. "Please," she whispered. "I was stupid. I see that now. I don't want to lose you." I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. "You already did." She blinked, lips trembling. "So that's it?" "That's it." For a moment, I thought she might argue, might try to fight for this, but then her shoulders slumped, and she nodded. "Where am I supposed to go?" she asked quietly. I crossed my arms. "Not my problem." Her face crumpled, but I didn't waver. I had nothing left to give her. Kate packed her things that night. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. She got nothing. The judge wasn't too sympathetic to someone who had helped try to scam their own husband out of his home. And the house? I kept it. I didn't let them take it from me. I built this house. I laid every board, nailed every beam, poured every ounce of my blood, sweat, and time into it. This wasn't just a house. It was proof of everything I had worked for. I restored it, scrubbed out the mess they left behind, repainted the walls, replaced the furniture, and took back what was always mine. Mrs. May bought the house next door, claiming she was too old for new neighbors, and that someone needed to keep the snake detector working. She still won't share her dumpling recipe, but she did teach me how to make her special tea. Now, standing on my deck, looking at the view I refuse to give up, I can almost laugh about it, almost. But you better believe I run background checks on everyone now, even the pizza guy. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Thanks for letting me get this off my chest, Reddit. Special thanks to Mrs. May, who's been reading these posts and cackling with delight at all your comments.